Hello, 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 people. Welcome back to an episode of the USL Show. It is great to be back. We have a special episode for you today. And it's not just because in about a week from now, we're going to be in Portland, Maine. So we're so excited. So, hey, if you see us out there, please say hi. Have an oyster shot with us, or Jaeger shot, or we're going to have a Jaeger shot, then an oyster chaser. Like, what's the deal here? I don't know. Probably the other way
Other way
around. I
around,
don't.
probably, but yeah.
Yeah, sure, something along that. We have a whole lot to get to. You see it in the title, but we'll get there in a minute. John, how are you?
Yeah, doing really well. Happy for what we're about to have on the show today.
Alex, how are you?
I'm doing all well as well. Also stoked here, but also on a high because I saw Superman yesterday and it was pretty awesome.
Love that. Well, look, today's show is going to be a lot shorter than normal. Both Alex and I have to leave right afterward, and there's no Ryan, there's no Phil. So it'll just be John. So unless you want to hear John just kind of loosely ramble for another 30 minutes, which some people will say yes, but John
Yeah.
says no.
Yeah, I say no.
So we're going to get into that. So, but first, before we get into our special interview, I want to go ahead and thank our patrons: Josh, Dylan, William, Sandy, Ryan Smelter, Matt Caphill, Andrew Towsley, All the Hedgehog, Kunal Patel, MOS, NF Fresh Third, Tim Nosh, Rion Lacara, Stephen Howard, Jeremy Churchman, Alberto Aguilar, Noah Telford, Michael Fuchs, Joshua Maduder, John Fuller, Christopher Cohn, Frank Anthony, John Hunt, and Harry Austin. Try to do something different. It tripped me up. I'll never do that ever again. So thank you to those wonderful patrons. And I want to say thank you for showing up, and a big hello to our very, very special guest, the head coach of the Chattanooga Red Wolves, Scott MacKenzie. Scott, how are you, man?
Yeah, I'm good, guys. How's everyone doing?
Very well.
Doing well.
First things first, Scott. How are you? How are you doing today? How's the season treating us so far?
I'm good. I'm good. It's a busy week for us, or we're in the process of a busy week, but start off with a good result of the weekend. So I'm typically in a pretty good mood at that point.
Yeah, and I mean, just to kick it off at a high level, I think what you have done, what the Red Wolves have done this season, might be one of the most exciting and unexpected things we've seen in the entire USL landscape. What do you think it is about this team that has come together so terrific so far in 2025?
I think there's a few things. I think for me, everything starts with culture and environment. I've always been a big believer in that. I think at various different levels in what I've been able to do within football, always been at the forefront of it. The environment, the culture, the way a place feels every day when you walk into work or walk into an environment. And so we were very, very deliberate in the way we wanted to build that out, learned a lot of lessons from where it failed last year, frankly. I think the type of person we've been able to bring in, we're deliberate about that in terms of we wanted to make sure before the footballer, we got the right person, someone who is, a hard worker at the forefront of what they do, that is gritty, determined, that has a chip in their shoulder, that's ambitious. And that's been a foundation that's then allowed us to explore how we want to play and get real buy-in for what we do on the football pitch.
Yeah, watching this team, they genuinely appear to be vibing and having fun together. So I'm taking it this is the case behind the scenes as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've been really fortunate. I think everyone that's been around the game long enough has been in good and bad locker rooms and knows the difference. And I've been in some really good ones. And this is one of the best ones that we've been in. It's a very, very good group of people, both sides of the ball that, and again, just that's full of ambition and a lot of chips on the shoulder, and a lot of points to prove.
Yeah, and I just want to point out, I just want to apologize because in the preseason I had Chattanooga pegged at number 13 out of 14 in my preseason power rankings, and I was completely wrong, as were many others.
Well, I was even worse, one spot
Yeah.
lower. So yeah, I'll own up to that.
I was going to say, I think you had us higher than most actually. So no, I appreciate that. So.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I feel like really stuck with me during those preseason predictions, right, was we were doing it, and we went through and ranked everybody. We had us vote, fans vote, all that stuff. And to talk about the teams, we brought in Amon Zayed. And when we got to Chattanooga, we looked at the roster, and there was a few names that we knew, a few names that we didn't know, and we're like, we don't know how this is going to work. And he stopped us and he said, trust Scott MacKenzie. He was like, I promise you that he is going to make them a great club. And we all kind of said, okay, but we've seen it now. And what is it about what you bring, what Eamon spoke so highly about, what other coaches speak so highly about you that makes what we thought not so much of into real diamonds we're seeing this year?
I mean, first and foremost, that's really kind of him to have had that foresight and belief. You know what? I think when I talk to players, we talk a lot about what does success look like and how do you get there. It's built around identity. I think at this point in where I'm at, I have a pretty strong understanding of what I do well. Good communicator, good at building cultures, and areas that I'm not as strong at, and I'm able to fill the gaps around that pretty well. And take that, understanding and philosophy into the way I work with players. So there is no such thing as there is very few in the world complete footballers. There's certainly no complete footballer within the USL ecosystem, certainly not in the League One ecosystem. So we've just looked at, let's attenuate, I'm going to make a word up here. Let's make the positives bigger, and let's get rid of or focus on the positives and get rid of the negatives. If I could have come up with the right word there, that would have flowed a whole lot.
You knew what you meant.
I think that's a lot of it. I think one thing I like to pride myself on is I'll maximize what I'm given, and that's whether that's with individual players or a player budget or just a project. I really want to make sure that I get the most out of what the task in hand is.
Yeah, and thinking about maximizing the roster and bringing this team together, you've got double-digit new players this season, and a lot of guys that maybe didn't light up with headline names, or players that maybe have long track records across League One. What was the main factor that drove recruitment, and why do you think it's meshed so well?
So again, I mentioned I've got a phrase that I like to use: personality over players, and so I think it starts there. We talked about making sure that the players that we did bring in they added something, the other side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball first and foremost. I think you can see that most prominently with the forwards that we've brought in, the likes of obviously Bentz. Matt Bentley is he's a very good player, both sides of the ball. And I told him this when we signed him, it's his work rate and his work ethic outside of the ball that makes him exceptional, as other attributes to shine. So I think we wanted to make sure we brought in players that had that, or were able to do that first. Then we knew that, I think this is, and it's shifting a little bit, but predominantly a 4-2-3-1 kind of league. And we weren't going to compete doing the same thing as anyone else. So we wanted to come in with a more unique style of football, and had to find pieces that fitted into that unique piece of style of football. So, Eric Kinsner, for example, young, I'm 7-year pro, but young at 22 or 3, might have just turned 23, but left-footed centre-back who fills the needs of the role and the system we play, and does his job exceptionally well. So a little bit about the personality, a little bit about fitting players into the very deliberate way we wanted to play football this year. And then, just meshing it all together.
Yeah, so speaking of the defense, so an interesting statistic, if my math is correct here, based on what the league has provided, Chattanooga has faced only 33 shots on target in the regular season, and only 2.54 per match, by far the lowest in the league. So we look at your 5-4-1 formation with the 3 center backs, 2 wing backs, and John, feel free to add anything here. And then a lot of times 2 defensive midfielders. Can you talk a little bit more about that approach?
I mean that we know that to win football games you've got to not concede goals. So we start that side of the ball. Want to be defensively resilient, take away space, and ultimately even then, I think I'd be interested to hear where we are in clearances or blocked shots. If we're that low in actual shots on target, I'd be interested to see where we're at there, because we talk a lot about winning moments. Is a phrase that we use a lot in our locker room. Winning moments are the football's played between the boxes, but really only gets determined inside the boxes. And I would imagine we're very high on blocks and interceptions and clearances, because you've got lads that will put their body on the line in moments that matter, or just want it a little bit more. The intangible stuff we're very, very good at, I feel like.
Yeah, it's a lot of clearances, and then some of them lead to breakaways and longer range shots. And Jason Smith he's low on the save count, but he seems to be a very physical presence in the box when he's in.
Yeah, Jason's someone obviously that worked with us at League Two, very high potential young goalkeeper. He's come and adapted to the league really well. He's great with his feet in terms of distribution, left foot, right foot, and so he adds a different dimension there too. And he's settled into the league really well. It's a fun one for me personally, having known him for a long time.
Yeah.
Two things: you're dead on. You're first in the league in clearances, so great call with that. Second, I kind of want to talk about Declan Waters, and there's something you do with him positionally where he'll often, as the centermost center back in that back line, occasionally step up into the midfield, often in kind of restart second ball situations. Is that an intentional thing that you've added to the system because Declan has that in his bag of tricks?
Yeah, I mean, certainly off the restarts, we put a lot of time and effort into restarts. I think obviously anyone who's watched us knows that there's a very specific way we go about restarts. And obviously Dec's 6'5", and so it'd be he's 6'5" and he's got good timing, he's good in the air. So yeah, we move him forward a lot off restarts, throw-ins, corners, free kicks, etc. Play off flick-ons with him. But he's a centre-back by trade who I think is in his best position, playing centrally, leading the line, using his, again, intangible characteristics. He's a very, very good leader, an honest leader, ball winner, good defensively. But he has played, it's not his best position, but he has played centrally and in a holding midfield role. So he does have the awareness to step in moments and do that too.
And
one thing sorry.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
One thing I noticed when I watched the Red Wolves in person was it doesn't show it on TV, but it is impressive how fast the counterattacks happen. I feel like when people see it on TV, they kind of think of Red Wolves as just like super dirty, gritty team, and they just kind of bully their way to a goal. But the speed in which the counter does happen is impressive in person. How much of it is, we're going to catch them when they're pushed too far forward and make them break us down afterward? Like, is it really trying to just be as fast as you can, or is there something else to it?
No, look, I don't think anything we do on between the lines on a Saturday, it happens by chance. I think we're very, very deliberate in what we do in any phase of the game, whether defending in around our own box or we're going forward. But certainly attack with pace and aggression is a principle. It is our first attacking principle, so we want to go forward that way. Now, how we do it, that is also, our guys would know when we win the ball and we're able to go forward quickly, this is how I would like to do it. When we can secure it, this is how I would like to do it. And it doesn't always come off exactly the way we'd like, but it's certainly not by chance. So, I mean, all those things you've just said is exactly what I want people to say when they watch our football team play. I want them to start by saying they are gritty, they're determined, they're up for a fight. You can't, this isn't a team that gets bullied. They have to embody my personality. I'm quite a forceful, I'm at it a lot. I'm an energetic guy. So I want my football team to reflect that. and I'm extremely competitive. I want my football teams to reflect that. But then we obviously have the nuance of how does that translate? So yes, we want to go forward, but how do we go forward, and how can we do it in the most efficient way possible?
And speaking to the efficiency, you've put up the second most shots from set pieces of any team this year. How much training time goes into maximizing those dead ball situations?
A lot.
It shows,
without,
Yeah.
without giving up too much, we spend a significant amount of time around restarting set pieces.
Yeah. Omar Hernandez with that early goal earlier this season from long range? Like, just that's got to be goal of the year for me.
Yeah, and it helps to have a player like Omar who has a wand of the left foot that certainly makes the results come a little bit quicker from those set piece moments. Restart.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of redemption stories on the roster this year. Matt Bentley coming back after a down year in Richmond and finding his form in England. Michael Knapp missing last season, and then a big shout out to Aaron Lombardi, who came back just recently, scored, which I voted for goal of the week. How did Aaron come about returning to the squad here in the middle of the season?
So Lomba was with us obviously in 2023 when I came in. He was nursing an injury when I first came in, so I think he only played, of the games I took over, I think he only played 6 of them and missed the rest. But we had a really good relationship at that point. And obviously his free agency came and he wanted to go and explore some other stuff. Ends up at Tormenta. There was a couple of injuries in there, and he wanted to get himself right and healthy. So he spent time getting himself right and healthy. We've maintained a relationship. He was in Chattanooga rehabbing. He was in around. We said, look, it's an open door for him. He's obviously done great for the club. He was part of the 2022 run. When he left, he never burnt any bridges. He's been great. And so it made sense to rekindle that partnership. And I mean, obviously, picking up a player of Aaron Lombardi's quality halfway through a season anyone would be very grateful to receive that.
While we're talking about it, I think I shared this anecdote last week, but I'm going to share it again. Aaron Lombardi has one of the best goals I've ever seen in my life, and no one's ever going to see it because it was in the unstreamed U.S. Open Cup match versus Birmingham Legion. And it was like 90th minute, 30 yards outside the box, full volley, top left corner. And no one's ever going to see it, but it's one of the best goals I've ever seen in my life, and I hate it for him that it's not on video anymore.
I can tell you, he has a copy. I don't know how, but he has a copy of it because one of the first times I met him or was coaching him, I can't remember whether it was him or his teammates, but someone made sure that I saw it. So I've seen that goal. It's a great goal.
And I'm going to struggle to say his name, but Afali?
Yeah, I mean, were you Leffy? Yeah, I call him Wally. It's easier, so but yeah, okay. Leffy. Yeah,
Leffy. Thank you. When he was another player when I watched you guys in person, just really impressed me so much. He's not getting the assist or goal numbers, but the ball does not move without him. He's a physical presence in the middle of the field, and he wears the captain armband for a reason. But he is, to me, just so important on what you guys have to do. When he doesn't get the assist numbers or the goal numbers, how do you kind of keep him hyped up and saying, hey, you're doing a great job, even though maybe you're not getting the same recognition as some of your teammates?
Yeah, I mean, I think the key to that across the board is people thrive when they know what their roles and responsibilities are, when they know what success is in a certain role. And I think we're very clear about that with everyone, whether that's from a starting position or an impact position off the bench. But Wally knows his role, does it exceptionally well on and off the pitch. The one thing when people ask me about him, that as I say, he's a great football player and he's obviously got a great history and background and has a lot of qualities. He is an unbelievable human being on top of that, one of the best people you'll ever meet. And for our locker room, to have someone like that who is the consummate pro every day in terms of the way he trains, the intensity he trains, it never drops. The quality is always there, the intensity is always there, but then equally just a great human being off it. I mean, we're very fortunate to be around him, and I think a lot of his teammates share that appreciation for him, and I certainly try my best to make sure he knows that I'm extremely grateful to work with him every day too.
Yeah, I think he's one of the 3 that have been in the league since the inception, and I think he hit his 150th match with Chattanooga this season.
Yeah, so I think he's 154 was Saturday, so he's getting up there in the all-time appearance.
We have a viewer question. Which player do you feel is most likely to take the next step in the second half for Chattanooga Red Wolves? Thank you, Adam.
Well, I got to be careful here, because I could leave a couple out, and I'm sure 1 or 2 might listen. But
I know if you were listening.
I think there's a lot. I think I mentioned that when we built the team, it was important that we built a team with chips on the shoulder and ambition. I think you would struggle to work with me on a day in, day out with my personality and the way I place my values and the way I go about my work daily if you weren't an ambitious person. And so, look, you've got the Ricardo Jerez and Ulefi Dos Reyes that are on the other side of their careers. But the majority of that locker room, you look around, I think the average age is 24. There's some a little bit younger, some a little bit older. I would guess that every single person in that locker room, if you asked them in private and said, what's the ambition? They'd say, well, I want to play in the championship. I want to play at a higher level. And I think based on this season, without singling out too many, there's some guys that maybe were under the radar before, but I know for a fact they're getting looks from clubs, and we're benefiting from their performances at the same time. So,
yeah, I didn't expect. If you asked me at the beginning of the season, would you say that Matt Bentley and Pedro Hernandez were going to be in the thick of the Golden Boot race?
Yeah, well,
it's so great for them.
If you asked me at the start of the season if I was going to play Pedro Hernandez as a number 9,
yeah, and he's good at it.
Yeah, no, he is. And again, just another guy who epitomizes the culture. Like, you will not. He dies on the pitch every Saturday in terms of like non-stop, all-action type of footballer, and like he'll run for a brick wall for his teammates. And frankly, I'd run for a brick wall for him because of what he puts in on the football pitch.
Yeah, and I think what you mentioned about the forwards really putting in the minutes and the miles defensively, that's something that is so obvious when you watch this team play. But in terms of the recruitment and bringing this group together, was it just eye test with a lot of these guys? Was there a data component? Like, how did you scout what turned into this team? Yeah,
so I think it's a mix of both. In terms of like Matt Bentley scored. In my 3rd game in charge, Richmond came to Chattanooga, and he scored to put them 1-0 up. And he had the ball on the right-hand side, combined, and then sprints to get inside the box, and it's a little tap in. And so that stuck in my mind. And so when he saw that he was available, I started diving into the clips. But I was watching the other side of the ball. I wanted to know what he was doing the other side of the ball. And then we match that up with data. What's for a forward? What's his interceptions look like? What's his defensive duels look like? What's his aerial duels look like? Paint a full picture, video, data, and based on, obviously, we have metrics of what would be a good score in each of them, a bad score in each of them, and then pair the two up. And that's how we came up with it, basically.
Love it.
Something that John wrote about probably 4 years ago at this point that I think about all the time was the best defensive offensive players, basically. Yeah. It's like it's an award in hockey
where the award for the best defensive offensive player, which would frankly, it would have to be a Red Wolves player if we were doing that in League One, but
right. And so you mentioned the work rate when it became a big storyline with Real Madrid and the old PSG of we can't get our superstars to press and drop back and defend. What is that like, coaching an attacking player? Like, no, you got to get back and help in the defense.
Like Joshua Ramos, like he just running from end to end constantly.
Yeah, Yeah. I mean, the fact that we've managed to put together a group like that is refreshing. I don't know that. I think you can open doors for people. You can't always make them run through it, or even walk through it. Sometimes I think, look, there's no denying. You look at the season we had last year. It's disappointing is probably the mildest term but also the viewer-friendly term I could use here. I've improved. The group's improved. The club has improved since then. But it's not like that we came up with these abstract ideas. I've always had this phrase that runners score goals. And some players really buy into that. And they go, yeah, runners do score goals. I want to get in the box. I want to get forward. I want to get down the touchline. I want to get assists. If you like that as a player, I'm great for you. If you want to turn up, go through the motions and do the bare minimum, we're just not going to get along. And so, it's interesting. I think obviously at the highest level, you look at it with Mbappe and PSG. You can't doubt the talent, but you can certainly doubt the work ethic, and you can also quite visibly see the impact of a player like that on both sides of it. So,
a couple more things from me. One really fast we have in the chat, which was, is there a possible update on Kimball Jackson?
Kimball, yeah. So Kimball picked up an injury just the other side of our Open Cup run ending there against Nashville. Was out for a few weeks. He was cleared to return to play within the last couple of weeks and is training at a very high level. Extremely competitive training today. We were working on restarts and set pieces, and he got a shout out because he's cleared one off the line. He's at a very, very high level, but he's just biding his way and working his way back into the group here.
So you mentioned Jerez earlier, and when you guys were going on that Open Cup run, do you feel like if you made to penalties against Nashville, like it was just already done, sealed, delivered? Because, I mean, it looked like he was unstoppable from the spot.
Honestly, yeah, I do. I don't think anyone was beating us on penalties. And look, after the New Jersey game, we said the same thing against CFC. That was literally it. Like 15 minutes to go in extra time. Get through this. You can't lose on penalties. We did it again at Vegas, and again, like we're in a very fortunate position that Ricardo has decided to end his career playing in the United States. Obviously, had a heck of a career in South America at a very, very high level, and he's still at a very, very high level. And I was really, really happy for him that he got the chance to showcase that in the United States here with the Open Cup run and some of the other cup games he's been involved in.
So, I mean, Jerez is almost 40 years old. Him and Matt Van Oekel in Birmingham are battling it out to see who can last the longest. And, you know, with them, you mentioned Smith, and it's a young guy with an older guy. What is that relationship between those two like?
It's super cool, actually, because so Ricardo doubles as our goalkeeper coach, and so he knows where he is in his career. He can still play at a very, very high level. He's still a very high level player and person, but he knows that there is a next phase in his life that is imminent, and that will be coaching goalkeepers at the professional level, and maybe even being a head coach one day at the professional level. And then Jason's on the other side of it. So there's no animosity. You've got the guy who's seen it, done it, been at a very, very high level. I think if Jason ends up having half the career that Ricardo has, I think he could be very, very proud of himself. And the balance there it's really good. We're very fortunate. And again, it was just I've known Ricardo now for 3 years. Tremendous human being first and foremost. I've known Jason for a good amount of time. Tremendous human being first and foremost. And when you bring good people together, good things happen. So
Nicholas Murray puts into the chat, what's your best Ricardo Jerez story that you can tell us?
I think I'd have to stick to football on Ricky, but he wrote his own stories this year. He wrote his own stories with his heroics in the cup run. I think that's probably the best story, the best comeback story as well. He was out of football for nearly a year without a professional appearance. So I mean, that story would be hard to top.
Do you, John, Alex, do y'all have any other things?
No, I'm good here.
Yeah, I think we're good to let Scott go if we want.
Yeah, so Scott, I just wanted to say that I've watched you guys in that Open Cup match versus Chattanooga FC, and one of the coolest moments for me was seeing you and your kids like go down the Red Wolves line. That was really fun to watch. So I was really happy for you, your family, and the Red Wolves supporters. But that was always fun to see, just kind of going down the line and seeing your kids give the fans the high five too. That was fun. That was just so much fun.
No, and look, and I know you at that little video clip. That's such a cool clip. I really appreciate you sharing that. But that is, I love what I do for a living. I'm incredibly passionate about it. But my kids are my entire world, and so sharing those moments with them means a lot. And obviously having those little bits captured when I watched the video, I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. So I appreciate that.
So we have one question that we always leave with, every single guest, every single show. And when you go home and you're getting away from the football, what's on your TV to unwind?
Do you want the honest answer or just the?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah,
We love an honest answer.
No, I like to watch a lot of the NBA. I had to find something that wasn't football, and I didn't stray too far from it with sports. So I like to watch a lot of the NBA, and then I will latch on to whatever my wife's watching. So it's one of those where you peek around the corner and you're like, I'm not interested, and then you get drawn in. And I'll leave the rest up to your imagination in terms of the nonsense that I end up watching on TV.
It's a slippery slope from that to go into a Love Island watch party.
Like I said, I'll leave the rest up to your imagination.
Scott, thank you so much for hopping on. We appreciate your time for coming on, and I'm really excited to see how the Red Wolves do the rest of this season.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you. Well, that is it. That is the show. Because me and Alex do have to go, and unfortunately for Anthony, you're going to see the hopes and dreams that were reflected in John's glasses leave very soon. But guys, I mean, that was fun. That was just so much fun.
Yeah, he's awesome. And it is awesome to hear him talk about this team where you can look at it and think, oh, they're route one, and that you would come with the assumption that there maybe isn't the forethought. He so clearly is drilling every situation into this team and has a philosophy. It's why the Red Wolves have been so successful this season.
Alex, for you, seeing that you get to see the Red Wolves, you've gotten to see them just once this year in person.
Yes.
They don't make their way back around because we don't do 3 matches home away home anymore.
Correct.
What were your kind of impressions on seeing them in person for the first time?
I mean, they were the obvious favorites in that match coming in, and they played like it. Watching the way they shut down offensive chances against Richmond, and just like kind of just step back. They like to set back and just defend the attack and just like bring it on. And it's difficult to break through that. Like I said before, they're facing 2.54 shots on target per match, which is absurdly low in this league, I think. And then yeah, I mean they're fun to watch. They're obviously vibing and they obviously like each other. You can tell. Just any observer can tell that.
Yeah, and I thought about asking the question, but I decided not. But I'm going to just bring it up here because, boy, have I run with one quote forever. But when we talk about, like, Ian Cameron and what he said with possessive teams don't win, I mean, Chattanooga has to be the antithesis of South Georgia Tormenta. I just find it so interesting that comment was made, right? And now we're seeing a team like Chattanooga Red Wolves truly thrive this year. But
Yeah, 100%.
I'm sure that's just like one of those comments that we are like, I am just holding on to way
No,
too
man,
long.
I think about that all the time. Like Ian Cameron is rent free. And I do think we've got a very intelligent comment here from Nicholas Murray about the parallel between the style of the Red Wolves this year and San Antonio under Alan Marcina. The thing that stands out is the passing length. If you want like a one metric preview of that, San Antonio was doing dastardly things like 13, 14 yards upfield per pass. Chattanooga is in that territory. They don't really care about possession because ultimately that's a meaningless number. If you are spending the 35% of the time you get the ball close to goal or maximizing set piece situations, that's all that matters. And Chattanooga does it splendidly.
Well, do y'all have any final Red Wolves thoughts before we end the show tonight? No?
Let's
All
see what
right.
happens in the second half of the season. Looking forward to it.
I'm excited for it. Portland next week. So it's going to be John,
Crazy.
Phil, and Ryan all on location. So excited to see all the content that gets filmed with that. There's supposed to be a lot of good stuff coming out with that. So super excited to see them take on the Riverhounds with that. How about some final thoughts, Alex?
Well, let's see. Been going to a lot more movies lately. Saw Superman this weekend. It was an incredible adventure.
Awesome. I've heard like just obviously a lot of mixed things, but all of my friends who are big, just like general superhero fans said that it was just okay. But I have other friends who are like DC sickos, and they're like, this is the best Superman in a long time. So I can accept that. I'm not a big superhero movie guy, so I'll probably watch it at some point and be like, yep, that was Superman, and go on with my life. So, John, are you?
Yeah, my AC has been out, so I have been dying, but
Yeah.
we're podcasting through it, man. That's all I can do.
Dude, that sucks. How hot is it up there right now?
High 80s and humid every day. Yeah.
Ugh.
You know when you're just like so hot and disgusting feeling that you can't really do anything productive? That's kind of where I'm at right now.
Fair. Nicholas also wants to tell us to check out El Clamico on CBS this Saturday. And The Experience is coming out, which a couple of our friends from like Tide Talk and Raising Anchor were featured on there. So that's super exciting.
I
The
got
Experience
to
is
meet a
awesome.
lot of those people when they were at the Westchester game. Just an unreal group, and the Experience video is worth your time. Like a great highlight of the special things they're doing in that fan base in Rhode Island.
John, you mentioned the heat. So I started my new job officially yesterday. And I kind of been around, but like it's band camp season, right? And so I was saying today, I was like, today was a little bit warmer than yesterday, but I bet we could still go outside and like get a little bit of time on the field, right? It was like, I don't know, 4 o'clock. I was like, we can do that at 4 o'clock. I checked the app and heat index was a solid 113 degrees. And I was like, maybe not. Maybe we're not going back outside today. That's a big no. So that's heat's hitting hard for everybody right now. But hopefully your AC gets fixed. And do you at least have a window unit?
I do, and it's not very good at its job.
I hate that for you. I really do.
I'm living life, man. I'm living life.
Well, anything else from you guys before we all go? All right. Hey, see you guys next Tuesday. If you haven't joined our Discord to try to win a free autographed bobblehead from DeMarcus Beasley, why not? Join the Discord, fill out the link, try to win a bobblehead from DeMarcus Beasley. That's super cool. Check out Kids Season. They're the ones that got all that together. And we will see you next week, next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. See you guys then. And for the first and final time tonight, here's Alan's voice.
Thank you for watching another episode of the USL Show. The USL Show is now proudly part of the Protagonist podcast family. please go to protagonists.soccer.com to check out more work. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see everyone again next time.